Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup, and this time around we're going to be doing things a little bit differently because, well, we had to skip last week and we delayed this week. So basically, we're taking both last week and this week, combining each grouping in for both weeks into one video each. So whereas, for example, we would have had say 3 videos last week, maybe or 4 videos last week. X-Men, you know, an X-Men video, an X-Men and Star Wars video, an Avengers, and who knows what else video. This week, instead, we'll only be covering both this week and last week's X-Men titles. This week, and basically each grouping we do will be a video. We'll be covering both this week's and last week's where applicable. Anyway, kicking things off, we've got this week's X-Men books and Star Wars books. And our first book of the week will be X-Force, number 24. Where we left off, we had 2 things going on that were, of course, related. One, Beast had a sample of one of the nesting doll assassins and, well, smaller versions. And it got loose and, in fact, got into Beast's body. So, he got Black Tom Cassidy to, well, put a mini him into Beast and root out the nesting doll. How elsewhere, Mikhail Rasputin, brother of Colossus and Magic, is exerting his own. He's exerting his own power over various anti-mutant groups. A mutant himself, he is cooperating with Xeno, for example. Basically, kind of, getting Russian anti-mutant tech to Xeno to use outside of Russia. And also using Xeno's resources to get things that he himself needs. He also has a chronicler who appears to be writing a tale about Colossus. Alright, so the issue begins with Mikhail talking with his chronicler. He summons forth a bottle of 1951 vintage vodka. As it turns out that this chronicler, well, he doesn't want to write the story that Mikhail is telling him to write. And so, Mikhail pours out the vodka, smacks the chronicler around, and uses the broken bottle to stab the man's hand. Well, not his writing hand, but his other hand. Explaining that if he doesn't write the story that Mikhail wants, he'll take care of the other one. Which the chronicler says, well, you wouldn't dare do that. And, well, to which Mikhail simply says, an unwilling tool may as well be destroyed. Meanwhile, with Beast and Black Tom, we get a write-up on what the Shadow Room is, including to explain that the Shadow Room is a stage-programmed algorithm that generates random threat scenarios to Krakoa. Beast states it has the flavor of chess. He's able to respond to assaults by sky, sea, gateway. He faces invisible diseases, nuclear bombs, chemical spills, disguised assassins. Sometimes he loses, but he plays until he wins. He requested the stage assault scenario in which his body was compromised by a Russian nesting doll. Various scenarios play out, all of which resulted in Beast dying or becoming a host of the thing as a spy on him, gleaning vulnerable information. There was only one solution that offered the possibility of survival: Black Tom. And so, That's where we're at. But Mini Tom is inside Beast trying to track down the nesting doll. In the Savage Land, Colossus and his lover, the woman he loves, Kayla, are harvesting flowers for the medicines. Um, while Kayla is going to go inside, this has been a rough day. It's been a busy day for her. She's been sent off to wash the day off. Colossus is going to stay at it for a little while longer. So inside Beast, Tom finds the nesting doll, kills it, and it does what the nesting dolls do when it dies. It splits into smaller versions, which Tom has to find. However, Beast passes on some information to Tom. Apparently Beast's on a bit of a diet lately, and he ate a giant salad that morning. Lots of good leafy greens from Krakoa. Meaning that all those leafy greens could be potentially controlled by Tom. Well, we discover that there's something similar going on. There's something interesting going on with the Chronicler. As he writes the story that he's been told to write, it matches up completely with what Colossus is doing. So Colossus comes in for the day, finds that, and his turns out Kayla has found that his and apparently he's going to be selling or shipping. He's going to be shipping them, shipping and selling. Included included is a painting of Arbor Magna, which Kayla says it can't be explained away. Colossus goes in to hug Kayla and crushes her spine deliberately. As his actions are dictated by the Chronicler. I'm not sure if he is a mutant himself. It's stated he is a dimensional rift, so it could be some of these denizen of said dimension. But that appears to be the case. But we get a small bit from him saying that, like any artist, he requires a muse, or a focusing agent, shall we say. Someone or something that he studies from every angle and knows the shadowy corners of even better than he knows himself. Well, his muse, his focusing agent, is Pyotr Rasputin. And through Mikhail, the Chronicler knows Pyotr as a brother. Back with Beast and Tom, Tom takes Beast's advice and ends up getting Beast to vomit out his breakfast, as well as the nesting dolls. Except for one, which as Beast looks, appears to be on Tom's face. Only he stops and realizes it's not on Tom's face. It's in Beast's eye, which he promptly plucks out and then stomps on. Back in the Savage Land, Pyotr buries Kayla, takes the bath that she drew, when there's a knock at the door. Charles Xavier is there to see him, wanting to talk. And that is where the issue ends. So I was honestly curious what the deal was with. I should have put two and two together earlier with the Chronicler. I gotta say that's a very interesting path to go down with that. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this plays out. And I get the feeling that Xavier realizes something's up, and well, that's why he's there. But anyway, before we move on to our next book, I thought I might show off the variant cover I picked up for the issue as well. As I've shown on some previous roundups, Marvel is doing a series of variant covers based on their Marvel Masterpieces trading card line from I want to say about 30 years ago. All painted by artist Joe Jusko. And this, for X-Force 24, we got his Colossus image. Probably after they're done making these covers, I may actually do a video kind of showcasing all of them. But moving on to our next book, we've got X-Men number 4. Where we'd left off, the High Evolutionary had delivered some information about the recent attacks on the Earth from space, and even offered to help save mutant kind. But in doing so, he eventually managed to reveal who's behind it, and the decision was made to split the team up to go and take care of the interplanetary threat. Also, Ben Urich, reporter and editor at the Daily Bugle, is doing some investigating, leading, of course, to some investigative reporting. And he's gotten he has received some interesting evidence, some interesting information. An autopsy report on Scott Summers. From 6 months previously. So the issue begins. We get a couple of quotes. We get a quote about Nightmare in particular from Dr. Voodoo, and then a very general quote from Magic. Dr. Voodoo's is nice, but fairly clinical. As clinical as I guess a Magic user can make a comment. But Nightmare is immensely powerful. He's conquered a splinter realm and once succeeded in trapping eternity. Though his power is above man, he is drawn to mankind because of what we have and he lacks: souls. Magic's quote, however, there's a reason I'm really growing to love Magic. Demons are just like people. You just have to figure out where to kick them. But yes, Nightmare is out and about, and he's discovered the treehouse. And so he's seeing what dreams the X-Men have to hold. We have Cyclops' nightmares involve, of course, him falling from a plane with a burning parachute on his back while holding onto his brother, giving up his son, being destroyed by Sentinels. Phoenix's Marvel Girl's nightmares seem to all focus upon largely on her time as Dark Phoenix. And it's explained that yes, because of Doctor Strange's recent death, that's why Nightmare is prowling the Earth. Especially New York. But we also see various points where he's felt to have failed. And what that failure could lead to. Jean It's also having dreams about her past. Um, Wolverine, it turns out, is afraid of what was left behind in the vault. And going on to explain that at night she closes her eyes and claws away at the blank spot in her mind. It would be so easy for her to fix. Marvel Girl could simply give her what she seeks from the mind of Sync. Yet Wolverine does not dare ask. She doesn't want to love Sync. And so she's paralyzed, at war with herself, and missing her past. She truly is Wolverine. After this little commentary, Marvel Girl telepathically deals with Nightmare. And she brings up, something from the Hellfire Gala when she her basically saying, hey, I want to be on the new X-Men team. Here's why I think you should, everyone should be in favor of this. What she says, what she telepathically broadcasts. I was once a vessel for death. I know I can never save the number of souls that the Phoenix burned. I can't completely balance that scale, but I can strive to do it. And even though I will fail, I will leave this world and this universe a better place. I'm an Omega-level telepath and telekinetic, but my greatest weapons will be love and kindness. Make me an X-Man. But yeah, Jean defeats him, and said that it was a tough night for many New Yorkers who will wake up tired and anxious of the nightmares that played out in their heads, not knowing they had an angel watching out for them. It turns out some of this was also going on. It wasn't just. It was a combination of telepathy and physical stuff too. So yeah. Elsewhere in New York, Ben Urich is at a cemetery. Groundskeeper explains that all his years there never had a grave robbed. Until that of Nathan Summers. And, well, Ben takes a few notes and moves on. The issue ends with a memo from Dr. Stasis. A second rehearsal will go in better than the first. Better timing. But if they're not perfect, he might consider scrubbing the mission. A large portion is redacted, so getting the full context is not feasible. However, Project Polypheme is something that's referenced, so we'll likely be learning about that later. And I realize this is actually not the end, because there's still one more thing. Phelan. They're explaining that at its current distance from the Earth, light from planet Araco takes nearly 10 minutes to reach Earth. Most people can't even find it in the night sky. But yeah, Fei Long has shot himself into space. It's explained that mankind's previous record traveling to Araco was 39 days, and Fei Long needs to cut that time in half. The ship he's in is something slightly different, however. he appears to be exposing himself to cosmic rays through a chunk of ruby quartz. Much like the sunglasses and visor that Cyclops wears. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. The fact that seeing various things, seeing various plot points kind of begin to taking issue to simply say, yeah, we got a one-off story, but here's a couple little things with some of the plot points we've been working towards in the rest of the book. But yeah, it's a good issue. It's the Halloween issue. I gotta say, I do love this cover. I really do. The Headless Cyclops. Also, much like with X-Force, there was a Marvel Masterpieces variant. This time of, well, Cyclops. Next, moving on to our next book, we got The Trial of Magneto, number 3. Where we left off, a fight between the X-Men and the Avengers, the X-Men and Magneto was cut off by the sudden appearance of the Scarlet Witch, whose remains the Avengers were on Krakoa to retrieve. She promptly runs up to Vision and kisses him. But his response is perplexing, explaining that he's relieved to see her alive, but he's confused as he hasn't even finished grieving his late wife. And to even begin grieving her, but hold on, wife? What? Of course, Wanda's been put through resurrection protocols. And as mentioned in the first issue, while there is a backup of her in Cerebro, it's an outdated one. And as she's dealing with things not fitting, something is rising in the sea. Also, North Star makes a point of explaining to Magneto to never threaten his husband again. But Kyle, North Star's husband, says he's going to be fixing dinner and that the Avengers are welcome to join. Also, it turns out Wiccan has finally arrived. So Speed and Speed and Wiccan get to see her. Only she has no idea who they are. Wiccan, however, states that that's not their mother, but it is the Scarlet Witch. Explaining that she's not entirely her, like she's, from the past. Which is confirmed that yes, she is the younger version. She's missing points, and so I swear this is probably one of the cruelest things I could imagine I could imagine being done to anyone. Rachel and Jean catch her up. Like I said, quite possibly the coolest things anyone could do to anyone. Though 3 kaiju appear off the coast of the island. So, North Star splits the team. Basically, It sends strike teams to each kaiju's location. Speed and Wiccan explain to Wanda that she needs to come with them. But Eyeboy explains that he can see the kaiju's intentions, meaning he can also tell where they're about to hit. Turns out, however, these kaiju just don't die. They self-heal. Meanwhile, Wanda's soul is in some form of afterlife, running from a cloaked figure. She realizes that the place where she is made up of chaos magic. She takes a mystical axe and attacks her attacker, who is revealed to be none other than a much older Wanda Maximoff. And that is where the issue ends. I love how, occasionally you get a, okay, that's what they're doing moment. But at the same time, you also get a, like, every time it's like, oh, okay, that's probably harder to handle. So then you get something completely out of left field. Like, wait, what? Also, it should be noted that the older version of Wanda is wearing a white cloak. Everything stating that Wanda was apparently killed by a figure in white. And yes, there was also a Marvel Masterpieces variant to Trial of Magneto #3 with, of course, Magneto. I might actually have to go back and get the ones of these I've let slip by, but at least at a somewhat later point when maybe I've got a little more way of funds. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we now move on to what we got a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away with War of the Bounty Hunters, #5. Where we left off, the Empire, Han Solo was on an Imperial shuttle and wrapped the Executor, which the Hutts had decided they were going to attack. Boba Fett had disabled the Millennium Falcon's engines with a seismic charge, and was planning to steal Solo from the shuttle, along with some help from his newfound partner, Valance. However, the Hutts used magnet clamps to grab the shuttle, planning to bring it into their flagship. Admiral Piet sends out TIE fighters. And Piet also informs Vader of what's going on, but Vader says, "I don't care. Unless the Emperor tells you to contact me, don't contact me till I return to the ship." But the Falcon's trying to... Lando and Chewie are trying to get the Falcon back up and running so that they can keep Lobot within range of the shuttle, as he's the one disabling the engines. But that fails, and the shuttle manages to escape and head back to the Star Destroyer. Boba Fett manages to convince the Executor docking control to let him dock aboard. He does, after all, have access codes, so... But the Falcon receives a message saying to dock aboard the Executor, with Lando realizing that this is Kira's doing, and explaining but not explaining Han and Kira's past to Leia. Not gonna lie, I was actually kind of hoping that the two of them would have some scenes together to actually discuss their mutual love. But yeah, an Imperial officer gives them all the information, gives them a data pad with the fastest route for the ship to where Han is, and reveals that she is working for Crimson Dawn. Meanwhile, the Hutts, uh, Lady Kira tells Boku that they need a distraction, so she insists that the Hutts attack the Star Destroyer, which is what they do. With everyone distracted, Fett and Dallas go to find Boba Fett, or find Han Solo, but they are attacked by a droid, which Valance takes down, only for him to be taken down by Fett. Maybe not left for dead, but at least left somewhat useless. Vader is told to deal with the Hutts personally to maintain their relationship between the Empire and the Hutts. Han, Lando, and Chewie manage to find Han Solo and are about to rescue him when Boba Fett shows up. A missile from one of the ships outside, however, blows a hole in the side of the hull. Han slides out, and Fett manages to catch him. On the Hutt ship, well, like I said, Vader has been told to deal with the Hutts personally. And he does. But the story ends with Kira narrating, explaining that this has been a good beginning. It didn't go exactly as she hoped. She did want to return Han to the rebels, but the primary goal was achieved. They lost valuable allies, but relations between the Empire and the Hutts are as strained as they ever have been. Instability and chaos are sure to follow as the galaxy's balance of power realigns. A true opportunity for Crimson Dawn. And though they have gained new enemies, Dr. Aphra, they have found others who might serve the Dawn. Time will tell. Balance. This was a good beginning. The dawn has come. Now the real work begins. Await the rain. And that is being said to various Crimson Dawn enforcers, including Deathstick. Our epilogue is at Jabba's palace on Tatooine. Jabba kisses Bubba's ass. You know, I never doubted you, and well, Boba Fett's not one to forget when someone puts a bounty on him. And Jabba says, "Hey, yeah, it's been canceled. Hey, the galaxy knew that Jabba had first claim on Han, and he needed to know that, defying him brings consequences. It's not personal." But Boba explains that first off suggests that Jabba throw Han into the Sarlacc pit. Han Solo brings trouble wherever he goes, and he's brought Boba Fett plenty. If Boba had his way, Han and Boba would never see each other again. Yeah, that's personal, so back to business. He explains that he brought Han Solo to Jabba. He can take him back. And if Jabba wants to keep Han, he needs to pay Boba. It's actually, it's probably one of the best Boba Fett moments I think I've ever seen. So, yeah. But we get a little bit at the end explaining that Wars Beyond Earth is just the beginning. The first installment of an epic trilogy that will span the Star Wars galaxy. Second chapter, Crimson Reign, begins soon, and in 2022, and next year comes the conclusion, The Hidden Empire. And that is where War of the Bounty Hunters ends. Except, of course, for various tie-ins that still haven't been released. Speaking of which, our next title is, in fact, our last book for the video is, in fact, one of those tie-ins. Dr. Aphra, number 15. Where we left off, Dr. Aphra, Sana Staros, Just Lucky, and Ariel U are trying to escape the Vermilion by blasting their way out, well, through. But first they need to get the data crystal necklace, which Aphra stole. Things aren't looking... They may be armed, but things are not looking too great for them. In fact, Aphra and Lucky are pinned down by blaster fire from Deathstick. Suffice to say, Deathstick is good. The blades she's throwing are coated in an old Dathomirian poison, which kills in about 10 minutes. Deathstick manages to is scared off by some direct blaster fire from Stana and Ariel U. And so Aphra goes for the necklace, but yeah, they're pinned again. More guards are pinned down, and she discovers another artifact in Crimson Dawn's collection, a Thought Dowser, an artifact of the Ascendant. Explaining that they use tech so dark, even the Sith avoided it. And she explains that she stands over, not even touching it. That the malevolence rolling off the artifact, she can taste it like ash in her mouth. If legends are true, this would fry her brain, or worse. When the Ascendant died off, their seers died with them. It might not even work for her. But what it all boils down to is that more than anything, it's just another piece of technology. And she takes it. Makes Deathstick stab herself in the stomach. And then also forces Deathstick to kill the other... and also forces the other guards to turn their blades upon themselves in more fatal manners. And the Thought Dowser is getting into Aphra's head, prying it open, demanding things. And it seems to short out the circuitry tattoos she has down her arm. They get the necklace, and the quartet escape. Looks like there's other things to keep the guards busy. In the hangar, Aphra and Lucky kind of have a, good seeing you, hope I see you again kind of moment. Sana and Ariel U, however, Sana says next time Ariel's on Corellia, we should get drinks. Which sounds amenable to Ariel. They opt to leave, go their separate ways, though first, a thermal detonator gets tossed at Ariel U's ship. It's payback for Just Lucky having left Aphra to die on Dianth. And so, they escape. But turns out the Thought Dowser fried her tech tattoos. She can't slice as easily as she used to. But, also, it seems to have also, the Dowser itself seems to have also, to a degree, fried Aphra's arm as a whole. But she manages to slice into the whole thing. We get some more background on the Ascendant. The Ascendant was an ancient cult obsessed with powerful dark technology. According to legend, thought dowsers were made of a special material that amplifies one's thoughts. The Sith used them to teach apprentices how to compel and manipulate people by channeling one's will. In theory, anyone could use them, like a lightsaber. But if the user was force sensitive, the effect would be crushing. Aphra exploited a loophole in the artifact's design to activate it. Connected to the right circuits, gave it some juice. Explaining, as it was fascinating, incredible, and she never wants to do it again. So, but she manages to unlock the secrets of her data crystal necklace. Got she decrypted a Black Sun intel report. Spies in the organization from Crimson Dawn. But also a network of contacts showing that Crimson Dawn is everywhere. Tageco, the Empire, the Rebellion, presumably the Bounty Hunters Guild and various other groups. That is where the issue ends. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet if we're going to continue on with Dr. Aphra's title or not. I give it, I think, maybe kind of a see how the next issue feels and go from there. These past 6 issues have been a fun ride, though, so, there's a good possibility we'll be sticking around with the not-so-good Doctor. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.